Welcome to Abundance. You guessed it, a podcast dedicated to all things surrounding dance. I am Kristen.
And I am Hannah, and we are two best friends who are brought together by this art form.
Please join us in 5, 6, 7, 8.
Hey there, welcome back. Today we're talking about gender in dance.
Hi everyone. Welcome. Just wanted to say today when discussing gender, we also recognize that inevitably we'll also go into the territory of sexual orientation. We're excited to talk with you today as these are all really important things in life, but also specifically in the dance world. We wanted to just start out by stating when meeting new people or working alongside new students or colleagues, it's a good idea to start getting into the habit of stating your pronouns. It really only takes a second and we'll show you. So, hi everyone. My name is Kristen and my pronouns are she and her.
And my name is Hannah, and my pronouns are also she and her.
See? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right. So, Hannah and I were kind of feeling like we should start with just some stereotypes and norms related to gender within the dance world.
Yes. So I want to just begin on just how men are bullied oftentimes just from a very young age. And I think that's a big part of why we don't see as many men and boys in dance and why there's such a high demand for them, which is honestly kind of disappointing and sad because I feel like dance should be open to everyone and it should be well accepted and everyone should be treated the same when it comes to dancing instead of having all these stereotypes and negative feelings towards men dancing. So, from my research and just knowing men in dance, I have discovered that oftentimes when men partake in a dance class or they start to get involved in ballet, they will get bullied or there will be homophobic language towards them. People would ask them, "Are you gay? Are you feminine for being involved in dance? Why are you doing it?" It's not like in society, men are supposed to be strong and of a greater stature in some ways than women. So when men participate in ballet, which is something so beautiful and graceful and delicate, oftentimes they're seen as weaker. So I think that's a lot of where those stereotypes come from.
It really is unfortunate because everyone is going to have a different experience, but we definitely, as Hannah is saying, see way too much bullying happening.
Yeah, and if it weren't for all the bullying and everything that goes along with that, I feel like we would be seeing way more men partake in dance, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. I do.
So going back to what we talked about in a couple of previous episodes, we were talking about how society views dance. I think that's also a big thing when talking about gender in dance. So the arts in general and dance get viewed as something lesser than sports and some of the other things in society. So I think it's just good that we open it up to and teach children in general, like from a young age, about the arts and about dance. A lot of times those programs are being cut, and I think they're very necessary and will allow people to open their eyes a little bit to what the arts and what dance specifically can offer.
I think that's such a great point, actually. Like public school programs surrounding the arts, bringing in different groups. I actually, when I was in high school, performed at a lot of middle schools and elementary schools doing little outreach performances. And I think those kinds of things are really great because, like you said, Hannah, it just kind of normalizes dance and exposes kids to something they may not really have any exposure or experience with. And so I think that having something as simple as that can help to start to break down some of the barriers and stereotypes from a younger age.
Yeah, definitely. And it's sad that America specifically deals with this because other countries like Russia and places in Europe, I feel like value dance and see it as a highly encouraged thing.
Yeah, there's some countries that actually, for men specifically, it's deemed very, very masculine to actually participate in something like ballet. So it's definitely interesting to see that cross-cultural divide.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to what I was just saying, like I feel like American dads specifically will be like, I want my son in sports. I want him to partake in all of these masculine activities. So by having your dad as an example of a father figure, a male figure in your life also brings down any kind of want or need to participate in the arts such as dance and ballet.
I think even though that can happen with moms sometimes too, if they don't want their son to get bullied, they want them to live a quote unquote like normal childhood and upbringing. I think that goes across the board with parents really. But
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying.
No, that's a great point though. I didn't Yeah, that's so true. Just parents in general, what they want for their kids and what they deem as best. Going forward, do you have anything to add to what I'm just saying, Kristen, before we kind of move on to our next topic?
I think that just too on the counterpart of that, so while it might be deemed as less masculine for men to participate in dance, on the contrary, women also have kind of this set image at times that women are frail and that they're subordinate to the man, and this, like you said, is common in ballet specifically with we see partnering. And yes, now more and more in different choreographic pieces we're seeing women partner women and stuff like that, but in the traditional ballet repertoire, it's always the male being the support for the woman, the man lifting the woman, and kind of just, showcasing her beauty, which, you know, it's just the way it is traditionally speaking, but as a result, even in terms of body image, we see certain expectations and we see this certain portrayal of women, whereas there's also a lot of strength behind dancing, and I think that sometimes that gets lost. And there are certain dancers that I'd say are really big advocates for like female strength in dance and in ballet, and even certain roles like we see Kitri or Carmen, who are these very powerful women. And I guess I just wish we would see more of that as opposed to kind of the stereotypical fragile female dancer.
Yeah, and it's hard when the classics get so much hype and those are the shows that people are going to see because it is so renowned and special to dance, to ballet. But that being said, it's like we need to break that barrier. Like, where is that in between where we can still have these great ballets, but then also have other performances and shows that showcase the strength in the female dancer and more equality between both genders. So
Yeah.
that's just something the dance community, dance in general, needs to work on, I would say, going forward.
What I do think is challenging is that it's the classics that really do bring in revenue for ballet companies specifically. So, you know, families are going to bring their kids to shows like The Nutcracker or Sleeping Beauty or Swan Lake as opposed to some kind of unknown original choreographic work, which definitely attracts, I would say, the dance community specifically. But I think that those types of performances struggle more in terms of bringing in outsiders. So it definitely is a challenge. And I think it would be great because a lot of companies aren't having mixed repertoire, but I think it also comes down to not only what the company's offering, but what the public is willing to invest in and go see. And so I think it would be great to see society move in a direction of, seeing non-dancers or families attending some random mixed rep show or original work as opposed to just only attending the
Nutcracker.
classics.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. I hear you. I also just think, you know, COVID also brings about its own sort of thing because we can't see live shows. So I'm curious though, as we have been seeing more dance for cameras, I know I have personally, I think you have too, on social
Yeah.
media, even just performances being recorded and displayed on companies' websites or, other forms of social media. I think that might also shift maybe what people will see in the future. Who knows? I think this COVID isolation time might have brought about some new ideas and ways of going about like this next chapter in society. I don't know. I think we might be seeing a change maybe, and that could be a good thing. Maybe we'll see
Yeah.
more
I think
fans and, other people outside of the dance world partake in those performances that aren't the classics.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, honestly, and time will only tell, but perhaps when things start reopening more and people feel more comfortable going back into theaters, that in an ideal world, maybe people will be so eager to do those kinds of things and to participate in the arts that they'll almost go to a performance no matter what is
We
playing. I
can
mean,
only
I know I'm like that right now. I'm like, just put me in a theater, it doesn't matter what.
Yeah, it could be anything. I know. We can only hope, right? Oh, that would be the dream. If we
I
could
would.
see all different kinds of people in the audience at performances. Oh, sounds amazing. I can't wait for that day. Going on to something else I just wanted to touch on is just male specific training. I think for male dancers, we see the lack of having enough men in class to then lead us into women teaching men very specific combinations that, as Kristen was stating, is like gendered. This is what males do, but again it has like this female flair to it just because there isn't their own technique class. They're in a space with all females and it's maybe one or two of them. So I think that also makes it really hard for them to want to stick with ballet and dance just because they're not surrounded by others like them. So if we did have more men in dance, maybe we could have more men's technique classes and more people for them to go to, mentors for them to talk to. As I was reading, I saw how much it meant to young male dancers to have someone who made it in the professional world and how they dealt with stereotypes in dance and their own experiences. And I think that's just something that we also can really work on in society. How can we, again, one, break those barriers, break the boundaries, but also allow more support for male dancers?
Yeah. I think that male role models for other men in dance is very important. There's a lot of benefit behind that. I think you definitely have a point, Hannah. And just in terms of too the expectations of men in ballet. So as we stated, there are certain gendered steps, and men are expected to have really strong batterie and to jump high and to do lots of turns. But the traditional ballet class doesn't necessarily cater to all of those specific kind of requirements. So if they're not getting enough outside work, so like a typical men's technique class that would really focus on that strength building and stamina building and the specific steps, then it's in a way kind of unfair that then there's these expectations that a man should be able to have perfect double tours and all these things that they're not necessarily getting the chance to work on in class. So I think that's an important point. But on the contrary, I think that we also need to see a little bit of fluidity between these gendered steps, specifically in ballet. While it's important to uphold tradition to some extent, because the tradition and the history is part of what makes ballet ballet, but at the same time, I think it's really important to have all students trying gendered steps. So, you know, I think if you're working on tours in class, you should have everyone work on tours in class, not just the men, and have the women sitting over on the side chatting, which typically I feel like ends up happening. I think that really everyone should be working on all these different things. And, even men can learn a female variation or something like that. And I
Or
see no harm in that.
yeah, or even practice specific point steps, like even bourrées. I feel like there's a lot of benefit to those, for example, and men generally don't do them.
Yeah, and actually more and more men too are now dancing on point as well. That is something that we are seeing,
Yeah,
and that's
which is
kind of got its own controversy in and of itself from a more anatomical scientific perspective, as well as, some people taking it from the traditional kind of perspective, but it's something we're seeing. It's something we're seeing.
yeah, I immediately thought of James Whiteside. He's just
Uh,
incredible. I don't know if you've seen this video, Kristen, but it's Isabella and James, I think both dancing on point. They posted it somewhere and it's just incredible. And
yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw that.
so our viewers, if you have social media, go look up James and Isabella and maybe you'll find this video that we're talking about, and it shows the strength that they both exude. It's not just Isabella or James, it's like they're both doing the same steps and like executing it perfectly because they're incredible dancers. They don't have to be male or female to do it. So
Yeah. And I grew up actually with having some men dancing on point around me because the artistic director of the company I grew up dancing and training with had another company called Ballet LOL, and it toured all around the world. It's a really cool all male company, but they dressed up as women and did female variations on point. It's kind of similar to Ballet Trocadero, but while it was meant to be humorous, like, that was the whole point behind the company, and they were very successful at it. Amazing dancers, really, really cool. But just because a man is dancing on point doesn't mean that it should have to be something humorous, and I think that that's important too, because we are seeing some companies where the point is kind of to make fun of it and make it a laughing stock, but, at the same time, that shouldn't be the case always. There's a time and place for it. There's, like, intentional humor, which is definitely the company that my director had, Ballet LOL, but then there should also be respect behind those kinds of decisions.
yeah, it's a double-edged sword for sure. And you just bring up a really good point. It's intention. What are you going for? And there's a fine line between intention and just making fun of, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why this is such a touchy thing to talk about, because it's unfortunate that we have these lines and barriers, right? I mean, if things weren't like this, we would have probably men and women treated equally in all parts of society, not just dance. So it's just unfortunate that we have these boundaries and stereotypes that we're forced to be in.
Yeah.
Doesn't
People
tr-
are told to try to fit in a mold.
yep.
It's unfortunate in
Yep.
all capacities, not just in terms of
Right.
gender.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Going off of that, I just wanna mention too, so in terms of kind of tradition, so we have in ballet specifically a very traditional dress code. Typically for women, it's leotard and tights, and then, your pink ballet slippers and your point shoes, or as we're now seeing some more diversity in terms of skin color as opposed to just the stereotypical ballet pink, which is wonderful.
Maps to that literally is such a good thing. Woo.
But so that's the typical kind of, I almost said costume, but attire for women, and then men typically have to wear, I mean, it varies place to place, but something like a tight fitting t-shirt and tights and black ballet shoes or white ballet shoes. Like, it's just pretty typical. There might be variances in colors and things like that
A
between
lot of
schools
times,
and companies, but
yeah, a lot of times we see men wearing white shirts and black pants, black,
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, it's not always the case, but I think it's really important going forward, and especially in more private studios and recreational dance classes, that we're seeing a continuation of remaining professional in the way that we allow our students to dress, but also loosening up the dress code a little bit and allowing a kind of safe space for people who are non-binary or just people even who don't necessarily feel comfortable wearing this very specific attire. I think that there needs to be a little bit of a give in that area because like I said, there's definitely a need to remain professional. And of course, too, part of the dress code in ballet is to be wearing form-fitting clothing and things that you can see the body well in order to correct. But I think that that's something that we're gonna see shift over the years, and I think we need to start getting on a little bit sooner rather than later, as it's very pertinent now, and in certain schools, there's already issues cropping up, and I think it's really unfortunate that someone out there might be experiencing a lot of emotional distress or discomfort over something as simple as what they're required to wear. Like, as in, that shouldn't be the case. They shouldn't have to feel insecure or uncomfortable. They should be able to wear something that they feel good in because you need to feel good in order to dance good, really. And just, to dance is meant to be fun. And for us, we're making careers out of it, but for everyone else out there, some people are just looking to have fun and to enjoy themselves doing it and to do it for social reasons, other reasons than, our main reason for sticking through all these years. So I think, yeah, that's sorry, end of my TED talk.
Yeah, that's very good though. And as Tana Hunter, our professor and chair of Mercyhurst University, retired now, but she would always say, make room for change. We all
Yes.
need to make room for change. And it's just necessary in 2021. We can't be sticking with what used to be or the traditional. While that's still important, there has to be some variation and shift.
Yeah, and I think other styles of dance are doing a better job at more quickly adapting to some of these things, but I definitely think that ballet is kind of the snail amongst the group because of how deeply rooted the tradition really is and how I it doesn't seem like there's lots of leeway. So it's the snail, but, hey, the snail can still
It can get
get there.
yeah. Yeah.
We gotta keep working.
Oh, but surely, right? Next, well, okay, sorry, I don't want to cut you off. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Kristen? In
I
regard
mean, actually, I guess one thing to bring up that kind of relates to this all is just this question, and I don't know that we necessarily have to even answer this, but something to pose is why it's so acceptable for women to play male roles so often. Like Hannah stated, there's not that many men in different ballet programs that they need women to dress up and play certain roles. But yet, on the contrary, society often views it as kind of taboo to see then men in female roles, whether it just be them, as Mother Ginger or some sort of character role. It's a little bit more shocking or earth-shattering, apparently. This is something that came up actually just the other day in one of my NYU classes. So, like I said, I'm not necessarily looking for an answer, although if you have anything you want to say about it, feel free. But I just think it's something worth chewing on.
yeah, absolutely. You bring up a lot of good points, and these are just things that, I would say that I'm a very accepting and curious and educated person when it comes to dance and what's going on in the world, but these are things that even I didn't really think about. So just shedding light on that, that's a whole nother bag of worms. It's just there's so much to unfold and unravel in these certain aspects of dance and each company and each performance and like just everything has so much depth that we're only just scratching the surface.
Mhm.
And so yeah, like these are just things that we really as a society need to work on, because why is it okay that we have females dressing up as males, but then as you're saying, it's like a big deal when we see a man dressing up as a woman. Why is that? And it's just sad again and disappointing, because we should just be accepting, I think, personally, from my own opinion, of everyone. You know?
And yeah, I think what I find just kind of almost I don't wanna say humorous, I can't really think of the word. Ironic maybe. Ironic about the whole situation too is, like, for a performance, everyone is dressing up. Everyone is a character.
Playing a
Like,
part.
we're not ourselves when we're on stage in a performance. We are playing a role. So why should it matter what your role is and how you're dressed as? Because, I mean, I could be playing a thief. I don't know, it's a random example. I am by no means a thief of a person, but I'm playing the role, and there should be no shame behind me playing the role as a thief, so why should there be any shame behind a man playing the role of a woman? Like, it like, if you really just break it down to the most basic
Yeah, it's
kind of form, like, it is kind of ironic. It's like,
yeah,
well, we're all playing characters.
right. It's not that deep. Like, and it shouldn't
Yeah.
be. So why? Yeah. And I just think it just all goes back to how we're raised and how society views gender.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is 2021. We need to make a change. It shouldn't be like that, because again, it's not that deep.
I know. I know. Ugh, okay. Are you ready to move on to talking about kind of power positions and leadership in dance? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
I think that's a good place to go for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So, folks, we I'm just gonna say we need to see more women in leadership positions and more female choreographers across the board in dance. I'm just gonna lay that blanket statement out there. And I think in some ways we're seeing progress with that. I've seen a few things about women specific choreographic shows where certain companies are saying, okay, well, we're only hiring female choreographers for this performance. Or even more recently, I can't remember which company specifically, but a company already stated that, one of their upcoming performances when they return in person is going to be all Asian choreographers, which I think is really awesome. So we're seeing this in certain avenues, certain ways, but it's it's really important, not only in terms of, we're trying to work towards more racial diversity, we need to also work towards diversifying in terms of gender. And it's so ironic that within the ballet world specifically, as Hannah stated, we think of ballet as feminine. And as George Balanchine stated, ballet is female. That's one of his famous quotes. Yet, why are we seeing the majority of the directors and the majority of the, I guess you could say, like, famous ballet dancers or just people we think of, like George Balanchine and, uh,
Yeah, the great.
Bournonville and all the greats, yeah. They're all men, and it's or the majority are, and it's kind of ironic, but
Yeah, it's again placing women in that subordinate position.
exactly.
The man is more powerful. Women should look up to the man.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are some companies out there, like we have the Washington Ballet who has the lovely Julie Kent as an artistic director. There's definitely female artistic directors and
And
people in these
Wendy
power
Wilson.
positions.
Wendy Whalen.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Strap.
But
Yeah.
there still needs to be more, and something that I think is really interesting. So did you see how Kevin McKenzie recently announced that he will be stepping down as artistic director from ABT? Did you
I
yeah.
did see that. Yeah.
And so they're, going through a review process trying to find someone to take over for him, and I think it's just gonna be really telling who they choose because ABT is one of the biggest names in the country within the ballet world, and he's been there for, I believe, 30 years or over 30 years, and I think that ABT is in need of some change. I think that they could use to really diversify a little bit more. So I'm hoping for a woman to take over. As we talked about in my one of my ABT classes the other day, a woman of color would be even better, and that would be a as one of my professors said, bold move on ABT's part, but a much needed bold move. And so I'm just curious to see how that unfolds.
Yeah, that's exciting and something that we're both going to be keeping up on.
Yeah, and there's other places too, like the artistic director of San Francisco Ballet recently stepped down as well or announced that he would be, and so there's just a lot of these major companies that are gonna have to decide where they want the future to go or to be led by, and so I'm excited. I think that these are opportunities. So while, I'm saying I think that there's not enough already, I think that opportunities are being presented in order to really diversify and work on this issue.
Yeah, definitely. Also, going back to just choreography too, I think we were talking about how men don't have as many role models to look up to, but also as women, if you're itching to choreograph and you want to make something of your own, but you don't see as many of you doing it, that also kind of is hard and makes it seem like we can't do it because it's a man's role. But no, like I think that's what's so special about getting a degree in dance too, where we're forced to choreograph and develop our own voice through dance. And we
Yeah.
don't always see that if you're going right into a professional company. So that's something I know I really value from getting my degree too, going back to our other episodes. But
That's a good point. It is.
yeah,
I watched this TED Talk in the fall related to one of my classes where the person talked about the idea of mirrors and windows, and I think that that's really important because, like you're saying, we talked about not seeing enough male role models, but in some ways too, there's not enough female role models for certain avenues within the dance field, and so we as humans need a mirror, meaning by a mirror, we need to see other people like us doing things that we want to do, but we also need windows, and windows is looking out and seeing other people different from yourself. So we need that balance, and it seems that there's not really that equilibrium at the moment, but we can continue to work towards that.
yeah, definitely. And I think that's why someone like Misty Copeland has been such a big role model for many children of color.
Mhm,
They have, I think, really seen her as this person who made it, who's this principal at this big ballet company. And now they're thinking, okay, I can follow my dreams. I can be like Misty. And that's,
mhm,
I think, kind of what you're talking about, right? Like
mhm.
the
Yeah,
windows and the mirrors. And even having maybe a woman, a person of color as the new director of ABT, that also will break down some barriers and open doors for potentially other companies to follow suit because it is such a big company. I mean, if you see them doing it, maybe others will follow.
yeah, that's really the hope and dream. It is. And with all of that too, just inequality in terms of pay has been a big thing as well, and that's across the board, even outside of dance. And so the hope is too that we can get to a place where women are getting paid as much as men in all kinds of different positions
Yeah,
in
all avenues.
society, but also within the dance world specifically.
Yep.
And that kind of ties into a little bit of this idea of, you know, men getting a lot of free rides in dance and a lot of scholarships, which I will fully admit growing up, I was really frustrated with because, I mean, granted, I was never one to be kind of eligible for these like big scholarships to summer programs or anything like that by any means, but it did seem unfair growing up.
Yeah.
Look at like, okay, all the guys in my ballet class right now, as in like I'm referring to maybe being at a summer program, are here for free. Meanwhile, like my family is dishing out a whole lot of money for me to be here right now. It did feel kind of unfair. And I would say the same thing with college, honestly. Like I have a boatload of student loans to pay off over the coming years. And some of our male counterparts got to go to school for free. And, you know, sometimes as a result of getting this free ride too, I think some men, and this is again, some, I'm not trying to make a generalization, some men might not work as hard because it feels like things are being handed to them as opposed to, having to really work hard because there's so many women in ballet and we're all fighting for a spot. So it becomes this complicated thing of, trying to increase how many men are in dance. So by that, we try to give them scholarships. We try to find ways to bring them in. And also in terms of helping women, and by that I mean having partnering opportunities for them or being able to perform certain ballets or performances that require men, we need to find a way to bring them in, and that also then does benefit women. But on the contrary, it just also does feel unfair and like a lot of things are being handed to them. But I think Hannah, you mentioned this earlier that, they do have men have quite a bit of a struggle growing up within the dance world. So it's like sometimes you got to pick and choose. It's like they have definitely some struggles that women don't experience, but we definitely have other challenges that they don't. So we can't really expect that all to be the same, but I think it's just worth bringing to light some of these differences.
Yes. Also, I was just thinking about how some people can't afford taking dance classes. And so that's another really big thing. Like there might be children around the world, around the country that do want to pursue dance but just can't. So then as a female, what if you really do want to be in this, ballet training program, and you love dance so much and you want to pursue it as a career eventually in the future, but you literally can't because your parents can't support you, but then you have maybe a male, your male counterpart, who then gets a full ride. How is that fair too? There's just a lot to dig. Again, it's just there's so much
Yep.
to uncover with all of this. And it isn't easy. As you're saying, you do have to pick and choose, and what's the lesser evil of the two, I guess. There's just a lot of unfair that I feel like is happening in the world, in society, in the workforce, in just all aspects. Not even just ballet or dance in general, but everywhere. There's still a gender wage gap even today, and it's about how can we break those. Again, I keep going back to this, breaking those stereotypes, breaking those walls to allow everyone to have an equal opportunity in all things. But it's hard. It's not something so simple as, okay, everyone can dance for free, so
Right. It's definitely not simple. I'm learning that more and more every day with learning kind of the inner workings of nonprofits and different organizations and higher ed. There's a lot of politics that really does go into it all. And sometimes at the end of the day, you're forced to make a decision that you might not even personally agree with, but you have to because of whatever the institution is saying.
yeah,
It really is.
right, if you
It's
want to keep your job.
yeah, it's unfortunate. It really is, and we don't necessarily have the answers. We don't have some sort of magic solution to it all, but I think what's really most important about everything we've brought up today is that people are having discussions. I think discussion is where you begin with this all. It's the catalyst for change, And so I encourage you all to have these kinds of discussions.
Yeah, I agree. I really do think that talking about the uncomfortable things allows the change to occur, right? If we all just kind of stood back and kind of ignorant towards all these issues, change wouldn't be happening. So, talking to your friends, talking to your family, talking to institutions, companies, that's where we're going to make the change slowly but surely. And it's just necessary.
It
It's
is.
not okay to be ignorant towards these very important things. So,
And we're definitely not experts ourselves either, so
yeah.
we're always looking to continue learning and expanding our knowledge on all of this. So by all means, please feel free to reach out to us. You know our email. Send us a message if you have anything you want to share with us or to make us aware about. We're always looking to learn and grow.
Yeah, always. Always, always. I think that's the beauty, right? To always
Yeah,
be learning and growing.
yes,
With
lifelong
that,
learning.
yes. With that, thank you so much for listening today, and I hope you enjoy your day.
See you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Abundance. We appreciate your support. We hope to have PK'd your interest. Feel free to contact us at abundancepodcast5678@gmail.com and give us feedback on what you'd like to hear. That is abundance without parentheses. Go dance yourself silly. Bye for now.
A special thank you to Richard DiFiore for our lovely podcast tune and Matt Mellish for our cover art.